and that was showing the way into the holies was being made. Going back to verse 5, these cherubim there on the top of the ark inside the holies of holies, shadowing the mercy seat. This sit upon the cherubim of glory, shadowing the mercy seat that sit upon the top of the ark. Paul writes that he cannot speak particularly now. You will find these fine cherubims, like stated, were put at the east end of the Garden of Eden. To clarify that these cherubim was not for just a beautification or an adornment, that they represent man's unworthiness. In the book of Genesis, you will see the cherubims were put there after Adam and Eve had ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Cherubim were put at the east end of the garden to prevent the way from the tree of life. Elohim had told Eve and Adam and Eve, that they could eat of the tree, all the trees of the garden, and he didn't even say not eat of the tree of life, but they were not to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He stated to in the midst of the garden, even though the tree of life was there, he didn't say not to eat of that until after they had sinned. At least he prevented them from eating of that and put them out of the garden and put the cherubim there to prevent them from getting to the tree of life, because the tree of life in the cherubim put there is, and also the cherubims on the ark was symbolic or representation, the connection between the knowledge of good and evil and the law of Moses, the Ten Commandments, and the laws, and it's saying unworthy to partake of, unworthy or condemned by, saying that you could not come into the way of life, into the holies of holies in the presence of Elohim, through the condemnation of the covenant itself, the Ten Commandments and the law. It's important to understand, even in relating to the Ten Commandments and the laws, that the Ten Commandments and the laws was covenant given for condemnation. And without the knowledge of good and evil, man would be like the bird or the chicken or the animals without knowing right. Could not see the right and wrong or understand the right and wrong in the Ten Commandments. So these two connect together. That's necessary to understand when you consider cherubim at the Garden of Eden preventing the way to life. The cherubims on the Ark of the Covenant saying that you could not come into life unless you keep all these commandments, which was saying that you couldn't, because they could only come into the Holy of Holies once a year, and that for the atone for sin. So it was a representation of unworthiness or preventing the interest. For example, concerning judgment, you can look in 1 Samuel, I believe 1 Samuel chapter 1 Samuel chapter, I think it's chapter 6, verse 19, you'll see that when the ark was taken in from Israel in the war with the Philistines and then brought back, that the people in a certain location looked inside the ark at Beth-Shemesh, I think it was. They looked inside the ark, and Elohim killed 50,070 men. To clarify that the covenant was given for condemnation, because Elohim had a purpose, a plan to bring another covenant the way into life through his son and Abraham's seed, becoming one and redeeming and removing that covenant and, praise Elohim, establishing a new covenant, giving a new covenant through establishing his testament in his blood. Praise Elohim.